Despite Lost Media being at its height of popularity right now on YouTube, there is a lack of attention given to non-English Lost Media. I want to break that language barrier and introduce you to some of my favorite cases of South American Lost Media. Not many might know, but Spanish dubs tend to be regarded very highly in South America, with many considered to have surpassed the original. Despite that, some dubs end up being so bad they become lost. In 1994, MTV started airing a dub version of Beavis and Butthead in South America. The series ran up through the 90s until it was inexplicably changed for a subtitle version in the early 2000s, with the dub never getting a home media release. Many cite the poor dub quality as the cause of its lost media status. While some of its episodes and clips have resurfaced, the majority of the dub remains lost to this day. There is actually a second dub, of Beavis and Butthead. Done for a sketch comedy TV show in Argentina called Video Match, the parody replaces the original voices with those of people working for the show, and the video clips are clips of Argentinian TV moments and music. As a person, I can say I like how cheap the dub feels, but as an Argentinian I can't get enough of Beavis and Butthead chanting for the biggest one. Some of these segments also remain lost, which is a shame. The Mexican dub of South Park suffered the same fate. In 1998, the Mexican channel Televisa started airing a dub version of South Park. Only 2 seasons were dubbed, with Televisa asking the dubbing studio, Audiomaster 3000, to make a dub oriented towards Mexican audience, replacing the swear words with Mexican slang, which wasn't very welcome amongst the rest of South American countries. At the same time, another dub, this time made in Miami, will start airing in Locomotion. Locomotion was a TV channel mostly dedicated to anime and adult animation during the late 90s and early 2000s. This dub was way better received, maintaining the swear words of the original, and later began airing in MTV once Locomotion closed in 2005. Speaking on Locomotion, on 1998, Locomotion brought Neon Genesis Evangelion to South American TVs with a Mexican dub, with the opening in its original language. However, the show also aired, with lower audience success, on the Argentinian channel iSat. But since so few people watch it, there aren't recordings available. However, according to the Argentinian anime magazine Laser, the anime received a dub opening for its transmission on iSat. Sadly, there isn't more information about this, probably due to the low audience rates. Lastly, and probably the most interesting one, is that of the Jackass dub. During its broadcast on MTV in Latin America, the series aired in its original language with Spanish subtitles. However, for its broadcasting on public TV, the series was dubbed in Spanish, which to this day it's difficult to obtain since there are no recordings found. It used to be considered an urban legend until a small clip confirmed its existence. There is no knowledge of how many seasons were dubbed or if any network still has an archive of it. El Eternauta is an Argentinian comic book illustrated by Francisco Solano Lopez and written by Hector Herman Oesterheld. The story takes place during an extraterrestrial invasion in the city of Buenos Aires during the 1950s, which causes an eternal snowfall. Despite being published 70 years ago, it managed to stand the test of time. I gotta be honest, I haven't really read it yet, but I cannot deny its cultural relevance. In 2012, a group of 42 users from the Argentinian forum Taringa announced they were developing a video game based on the comic. The game was an open-world, first-person shooter covering the plot of the original comic book and recreating its most iconic moments. Despite this, it wouldn't be a linear game and would encourage the player to freely investigate the city of Buenos Aires in order to survive. As a complement to the above, the game will feature a variety of weapons and vehicles. The game will be divided in 6 levels, and also feature a multiplayer co-op mode, using a split screen. In July 23, 2012, it was announced the grandson of Hector Herman Oesterheld requested that the publication of the video game, scheduled to be released at the end of September of that same year, be suspended, alleging copyright violation despite the fact that the game was non-profit and awarded by fans for fans. Even as a non-fan of the comic, I was hyped when I found out. It's not common for Argentinian media to get adaptations to the video game form, and it would have introduced a lot of new people to El Eternauta and Argentinian comics. The developers later confirmed on the official website that the release of the game will be suspended, but the development will not, so the development continued despite the risk of a lawsuit. To avoid this, the name of the game was changed to The Invasion of Buenos Aires. It is believed that it was completed even though it could not be published. A signature gathering was sought to prevent banning the game, but it was sadly useless. It's unknown if someone still has a copy of the game lying around. It's rumored it was finished, or at least reached a very advanced development stage. I am torn in this one. I don't think this is another Nintendo suing Bowser and taking 30% of his income for the rest of his life. El Eternauta, while a fun sci-fi comic book for most people, sadly carries around strong sentimental and political values to the family, with Hector Osterheld being a victim of kidnapping during Argentina's dictatorship. With the upcoming El Eternauta Netflix adaptation, I hope they give a second chance to an Eternauta game. It has so much potential and the fans are clearly asking for it and have been for a long time. Mundo Tunics was an MMO made by Cartoon Network due to the popularity of its Tunics mascots. Oh wait, I'm making this video for English audiences, let me rewind. In the year 2008, Cartoon Network revamped and gave an end to the city era to move to the nudes. You know, those horrid creatures that look like the failed version of a bowling pin and Roger from Family Dad. Well, in South America we got the Tunics. Like the nudes, they are also heavily inspired by vinyl toys, but they decided to go with a more cutesy approach, with them resembling cute Japanese mascots like Domo and Dumbo, and making them have original traits, instead of just wearing the ripped skin of Cartoon Network characters. This and Cartoon Network being the most popular cartoon channel in South America made them extremely popular, with toys, several games, and even a South American-only McDonald's tie-in. So in 2010, Cartoon Network launched its own only game based on them. It ended up being very successful, amounting to 15 million players by 2013. So why did such a popular game get closed so soon? Bullying. You see, unlike other games which had a very restrictive chat, Tunics just didn't care and let you post whatever, with very limited restricted words, even having a private DM option. I wonder what could go wrong. After several complaints, Cartoon Network ended up closing its free chat and instead replacing it for a limited pre-made sentences, which ended up killing what was pretty much a glorified chat room. There was actually a prior version of Mundo Tunics launched in 2008, but all is left from it is some screenshots, since no gameplay footage has ever been found of it. Puka Dulce Noche de Brujas was an adventure flash video game developed by Argentina studio Inner Games in 2008 for Shetty's website. In the game you had to control Puka around the map, collect candy and dodge ninjas. The game used to be playable through Shetty's Disney XD Brazil and Disney Latino websites. Despite the game being available all through 2008 to 2015, no copy exists on the internet. Despite Flash games made as advertisement for children's webpage not being widely known for their amazing graphics, I gotta remark how pretty this game looks, with original backgrounds that resemble the original show and with a more open-world approach to the gameplay in contrast to other Puka games of the time that were mostly just platformers, which makes it sadder that a game with so much effort put into it is completely lost. Oh boy, we have Jet Set Radio at home. Quito Pixas was an Argentinian children's TV show that aired between 2001 to 2006 in Magic Kids. The show was made in response to the popularity of A Jugar con Hugo, an Argentinian adaptation of the Danish TV show and that was highly successful at the time. The program had an homonymous platform game made by Malabar TV where people had to call and play with their old brick phones. The gameplay was rather simple. You played as Quito, a pizza delivery boy who had to deliver pizza in time without losing them. You could earn points by picking up items and you had to dodge obstacles. The end score was then recorded and the top players obtained prizes. Since the end of the show's transmission, there have been requests for the game to get released for the public. The show ended in 2006, after Magic Kids closed its doors, and since then the whereabouts of the game remain unknown. It's been rumored that a demo of the game was once available on Malabar TV's website, alongside another one of their games, Wariwasu. There have been several requests for the game to be released, but to no avail. I hope someday this game gets released. It certainly is a relic of Year 2K, with its colorful graphics and outlandish, eye-bleeding designs. Basura was a failed Chilean TV show that tried to catch the success of 31 Minutes, but failed miserably. Released in the year 2004, Basura was about Ryan, an inhabitant of the year 2185, who worked in a recycling company in the middle of a city full of garbage. The story was intended to raise awareness among new generations of the impact that waste had on the environment. We know very little about the show, like that only 10 episodes were made and that it was only aired once. The only visual archive of the show is a commercial, where we can see the show had a very unique style, reminiscent of all 40s sci-fi movies. Despite the unique visual style, the character design is jarring to say the least, with big bulging eyes and big mouths that end up looking uncanny. Wikia Lost Media user Renex3563 contacted the studio, where they confirmed they had the show, but they had to talk with the people involved first in order to publish it. Sadly, there have been no news about it since then. I really hope we get to see it someday. Amazonas was a 2012 Chilean TV reality show with the intention of showing contestants living through the inhospitable environment of the Amazon jungle, with the Peruvian Amazon chosen as the location where the contestants had to survive while living with an indigenous group of people from the zone known as the Boras. The intention was for the participants to live on the same conditions as the indigenous people, without technology and gathering their own food and hunting animals to survive. The show became infamous for an accident that happened amongst the contestants, which were popular celebrities in Chile. A violent fight broke between them and the native people, which led to its pulling out of the air, and resulted in its lost media status. Just kidding, it was all a fraud. Both of the contestants and the native were paid actors. It was all false, and the contestants nor the natives were ever exposed to the dangers of the Amazon jungle. It was all shot in a deluxe resort, and the supposed natives were just paid Peruvian actors. The program was so incredibly bad and offensive it led to diplomatic disputes among Chile and Peru, leading to its lost media status. The show lasted for only 4 weeks, resulting in 24 episodes. Due to its controversy, it was never mentioned again. All that is left of it are 2 episodes, a few clips, and its final. Don't feel sorry about Peruvians though. Even Peruvians are racist against Peru. Los Cuentos de la Paisana Jacinta was a 2002 children's TV show starring La Paisana Jacinta. La Paisana Jacinta was a parody of Peruvian native women, performed by comedian Jorge Benavides. The story follows La Paisana Jacinta and Mantecoso the Mouse, who appears every night to give her a piece of magic cheese that reduces Jacinta's size, and thus invites her to his house and tells her various stories. It had 4 episodes, which never premiered due to its being cancelled for being racist against native Peruvian women. In 2020, Jorge Benavides posted the show introduction. To this day, it remains the only proof of the show's existence. Mi Familia es un dibujo is a sitcom I can only receive as the most uniquely 90s sitcom to ever grace the Argentinian TV. It revolves around a very colorful family living alongside a cartoon ginger named Dibu. It became an instant success and it spawned a spin-off, a music album, and 3 movies. Sadly, I can't tell you much about the show since I haven't watched it myself, and even if I wanted, I can't, because the final episode remains lost and the show is inconclusive. Yes, despite being a huge success, it never got a proper home release, with the 69th and last episode remaining a complete mystery to this day. And jumping straight into the spin-offs, that has nothing to do with the original show. Bésame la Panoche was an infamous Peruvian flash animation web series infamous for plagiarizing Beta la Verge, which was a popular Mexican web series at the time. The plot consisted of the day-to-day life of Blanca and Lechita, who had weird adventures. In 2016, the YouTube channel Taco Taco Burrito made a video calling it cringe-worthy, after the harsh critique it received for being a low-effort and cheap knockoff of the series. It was deleted by its creator, and 6 out of its 8 episodes remain lost. In 2020, it got a reboot named Kiss Me Panchita. One of the most transcendental cases of lost media from Argentina, and the case I learned the most, is that of The Man Who Came Back from the Dead, a 1969 suspense horror miniseries protagonized by Narciso Ibáñez Menta, actor and director better known as the King of Terror. Well, at least in LatAm. The show, starring Narciso Ibáñez Menta as Elmer Van Hess, a man who was falsely accused of a crime he didn't commit, and sentenced to death, whom after death sold his body to help his family financially, and was later brought back to life by a scientist, and now yearns revenge towards the 8 people who contributed to his death. Despite the enormous popularity that led to it being rebroadcasted into the late 80s, the original tapes remain lost, rumored to have been lost in a fire or erased on an accident. Thankfully, some fragments from ads and other promotional pictures have resurfaced, but 13 of full episodes remain completely lost, probably forever. With an anime adaptation from the studio that did Akira, Cyber 6 is regarded as Argentina's most popular comic internationally. However, the anime wasn't the first time Cyber 6 had an adaptation. In March 15, 1995, the Argentinian television network Telefe will premiere a live adaptation of the show that was pulled off the air 2 months after. Why, you ask? Well, look at that production value and those effects. It received horrible critics and even worse ratings. The show was so bad, there was even a rumor that Carolina Pelleretti, who played the protagonist, was so ashamed she bought all the copies and destroyed it. Believe it or not, this isn't the only case of an Argentinian personality destroying all the tapes of something they were ashamed of. The show never had a home video release due to its poor reception, and to this day only a few clips and one episode have resurfaced. And oh boy, let me tell you, if I wanted someone to find El Hombre que Volvió de la Muerte because of its quality, I want this to be found for the opposite reason. This thing looks atrocious, and I'm so happy our tomboy heroine later got a proper adaptation. $15,000 Dibujos is a Chilean animated movie created by Jaime Escudero and Juan Carlos Tup that will be released in theaters in 1942, considered the very first of the country and one of the very first of South America. The movie revolves around Capuchita, a condor dressed as a Chilean roto, a folklore character from the country, together with the puma Manuel, the rooster Ñoveñaiga, and a human named Clarita. Nothing is known about the plot of the movie, but there are a lot of interesting facts about the production. The movie was largely financed by the friends and family of the directors, and in 1941, during Walt Disney's tour through South America where he visited the developers of the movie, he complimented the movie and was amazed by its rudimentary techniques and the amount of effort put into it. He encouraged them to finish the movie and come work for Disney Studios. Sadly, this could never happen due to Disney being busy with World War II propaganda at the time. The movie wasn't well received due to its poor production value in comparison to Disney films of the time, which contributed to it getting lost. But years later, an effort from the family and the granddaughter of Tup led to 2 minutes of the movie being recovered. While Snow White is the first animated movie with color, it's not the first animated movie. That title is reserved for Quirino Cristiani's El Apóstol from 1917. The movie was a political satire of the then President Hipólito Yrigoyen, who wanted to cleanse Buenos Aires of immorality and corruption. Unlike animation of the time that used animation on cellulose, Cristiani would have used rotating and removable paper puppets, a technique known as cutout. The character designs were made by Diógenes Taborda, while the sets were created by Andrés Ducard. Undoubtedly an amazing display of talent and creativity for the time. Sadly, all of the remaining copies were lost in a fire, while others were recycled. Only 2 character designs, drawn by Diógenes Taborda, and a model of the city of Buenos Aires, used for the film, have been preserved. Sadly, most of Quirino Cristiani's work also remain lost, with only very few clips remaining. Thank you for watching the video! I'm sorry for my English, I hope I can get better at it through making these videos. I'm hoping I can release a video once a week or something, so please feel free to correct my grammar and pronunciation in the comments.